What's up, Algebra 1? So this video is on multiplying binomials. Alright, now in class we went over a number of ways to solve this sort of problem. Alright, I'm going to show you all of them in this video. So the first way is to just use the distributive property, the way we know it. Alright, we just have to remember to use the distributive property for both terms in the first parentheses. Alright, you're going to distribute both of these terms into the terms in the second parentheses. Alright, the second binomial. So how does that look like? Well, I'm going to take the n, that's my first term in my first parentheses. Alright, my first term in my first binomial. I'm going to multiply it to the 2n and the positive 2. Right? That's my distributive property right there. So 2n times n gives me 2n squared. Alright, it is not 3n, and that's a mistake that you want to avoid. Alright, if it helps, what you can do is you can take the intermediate step and actually write this out. Alright, 2n times n. 2n times n. Alright, that gives you 2n squared to the second power. Alright, what's next? I have n times positive 2. That gives me just 2n. Alright, so after I distribute the n, I have to go back and distribute the negative 5 the same way to the 2n and to the positive 2. So I have negative 5 times 2n, that's going to give me negative 10n. You want to be careful of the signs here. I have a negative times a positive. Okay, and then I have a negative 5 times 2, that's going to give me negative 10. Alright, what do I do now? Well, I just combine my like terms. I have a 2n, a positive 2n, and a negative 10n. If I combine those like terms, I'm going to get negative 8n. Alright, so I want to combine these like terms here. So my final answer is going to be 2n squared minus 8n minus 10. Alright, so another way to think about this is to, again, use the distributive property, okay, but set it up in a way that's a little bit interesting, a little bit easier, and maybe a little bit more helpful to you. What we can do is actually split up the first polynomial. This binomial here, we can split it up into n and negative 5, and pretty much use the distributive property twice. So we're essentially doing the same thing, except I'm splitting up the expression here to make it a little bit easier for me to understand. Alright, so now I can look at this problem as two separate distribution problems. I'm going to take this expression right here and just distribute the n. That gives me 2n squared plus 2n. Oops. Alright, and I'm going to take this expression here and just distribute the negative 5. Right, negative 5 times 2n, that gives me negative 10n. And negative 5 times 2 gives me negative 10. Alright, and now what do I do with these answers over here? Well, I just add them together. Alright, I have 2n squared. There's nothing to add to this. There are no other like terms here, so I'm just going to bring it down. 2n squared. I have the plus 2n and the negative 10n. Okay, those two can combine. Those two can be added. Positive 2n plus negative 10n gives me negative 8n. And the negative 10 is by itself. And there's my answer. Alright, so the second way to solve this problem is to use the box method, alright, or the generic rectangle method, however you want to call it. Okay, so in order to use this method, you're going to look at how many terms each of these parentheses has. So the first parentheses has 2 terms. That's going to tell us how tall the box is going to be. Okay, so it has 2 terms. That means my box is going to be 2 units high. Alright, that's about 2 units. Okay, I look at the second term. I look at the second parentheses, and the second parentheses also has 2 terms. That's going to tell me how wide the box is going to be. So the box is going to be 2 units wide. Okay? So it's going to be a 2 by 2 box that I'm making here. Just like that. Now, one thing to note is that I can sort of switch the order around. You know, I can look at the second parentheses and, you know, however many terms the second parentheses has, that can be how tall the box is, and however many terms that the first parentheses has, that can be how wide the box is. I'm just sticking to one way to go about it. Alright, so after you get the dimensions of your box, you're going to fill in the terms on the outside space. Alright, the outside space of the box. So the n minus 5, again, that was how tall the box is, so I'm going to fill it in on the side. N minus 5, that's how tall the box is going to be. It's 2 terms tall. Okay, the 2n plus 2, those 2 terms will go right on top. And what we have here is, you know, a times table, a multiplication table. If you remember your lessons in biology, this is kind of like a Punnett square. So I just multiply. I have 2n times n. That's, again, gives me 2n squared. Not 3n, okay? Don't make that mistake. It's 2n squared. N times 2, right? N times 2, that's going to give me 2n. Negative 5 times 2n, that's going to give me negative 10n. And negative 5 times 2, that gives me negative 10. What do I do after this? I just add everything in the box. That's the same exact thing as combining like terms. Alright? I have a 2n squared. There is no other like terms for the n squared term here, so I just bring it down. 2n squared. Alright, I took care of that box. I have the 2n and the negative 10n. So 2n plus negative 10n, that gives me negative 8n. And then I have the negative 10n by itself. There you go.